Good morning, Kingdom Builders. Welcome to day 22 in our Art of Allowing Challenge. 22 of 30 days of allowing everything, submitting to everything that life presents, without arguing, without fighting, without resisting, just allowing. And right now, I'm coming to you from a different location than I normally would record this from, so if the background is noisy, please bear with me. Last night I stayed up until about 1 a.m. I was trying to finalize some plans for some upcoming events, and it was just a hectic evening, and I planned to do that. I knew that I'd be up late, and I already accounted for that. The old me would have gotten up early, my usual time, and just started the day and quote-unquote pushed through it. But this morning, I did use my alarm just so I would be on time for our 5 a.m. prayer call. And right after the call, instead of me moving on and starting my day as usual, I went back to bed. And again, the old version would have judged and said, "You're behind, you've wasted time, sleep is for suckers," things of that nature. But as I allowed the voice that said, "We're not done here. We need rest." And I went back. And I realized, what if it's that inner dialogue, the back and forth chatter that's actually keeping us from peace, keeping us from getting to that higher place where we can operate without concern or worry about tomorrow or what people think or what people say. And one of the deepest principles in this art of allowing is learning to distinguish between resistance and reality. The reality of this morning was my body was tired. I probably would not have been as productive as I should have been or could have been. And there was really nothing out there that required my urgent attention. The reality was I'm still alive. I have a whole day in front of me. And I did show up for prayer, which was one of the most important things. But the resistance said, I'm behind. I won't be able to start the day and give it my all. I need to catch up. And I could have created a circumstance where I suffered internally. But I let it go. Because what we resist will continue. What we resist persists, is what they say. And not because God is punishing us, but because our attention feeds whatever we consistently fight against. The moment you argue and start to have these conversations about what already is happening, now you're splitting yourself into two parts. One part is accepting the reality that exists, and the other part is fighting with it and wishing there was another reality. And I think that split is where we see friction. Because you can spend years, months, days, weeks fighting this reality, fighting where you are financially, fighting the current season that you're in, fighting your emotions, fighting your past, fighting your body. You may be overweight or underweight, or fighting situations or circumstances that you can't change. But what progress are you making by fighting reality? And I love what Jesus did. Jesus never denied reality. Remember when Lazarus was dead? He acknowledged the death, and he went and did what he could do. He didn't rush. When the storm came, he was sleeping in the storm. The reality was there's a storm. He acknowledged it. When people were hungry, first he acknowledged it. And he wasn't controlled by any of those realities. He saw reality clearly without becoming an emotional prisoner to it. And I think that's one of the reasons Jesus pointed back to children, because children have something that a lot of adults tend to lose or put away, and that's the present moment. A child is waking up and they're not worried about yesterday or thinking about tomorrow's worries. They don't spend hours condemning themselves. They just sleep. And when they wake up, they go back to play. And somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we exchanged that for the analysis. We traded presence for the need to always be doing something, performing, looking for acknowledgement. We traded wonder and curiosity for worry. And then we start to wonder, why does peace seem so far away? I'm doing all the right things. I'm making good money. Today I want to talk about this open door principle, because today is not about sleeping in, okay? I'll be right back at it tomorrow. But it's about recognizing the open door in the art of allowing. At 5 a.m., the open door was prayer for me. And at 5:30, the open door was rest. I probably didn't get out the house till about 9 o'clock today. And one part of me did feel bad. It's Monday, you're behind schedule, but I had to silence that voice. I realized that the open door is whatever life is presenting in front of you. Get up and engage what's in your presence. And we miss God's guidance because we're staring at the door that's closed while ignoring the one that's open. And faith is often less about knowing the whole path and more about recognizing the next step. In our fellowship, we're reading about Genesis and how God called Abraham and said, leave where you are, and I'm going to show you where I'm taking you. Didn't tell him where he was going, didn't tell him how to get there, just said, I'm going to show you. And that's what true faith involves. Not knowing what the outcome might look like, but trusting the next step. And Jesus talked about that open door. And there's another spiritual principle I think that we need to acknowledge here. Every day requires some type of rebirth. And where there's a rebirth, there's death. The death of our expectations. The rebirth of new expectations. The death of our preferred timeline and preferred outcomes. The death of the image we had of how the day was supposed to be. Because remember, the suffering that we tend to deal with, it comes from trying to resurrect a version of reality that doesn't exist. It either was yesterday or in the future. The plan is dead. The schedule, dead. The expectation, dead. Let it die. And true resurrection only happens after surrender or submission. The seed has to go into the ground before it becomes a tree. And Jesus taught that unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it's going to be alone. And that's not just about physical death. I think it's about transformation. The old version of us has to continually die so the next version can emerge. We're always growing. If you go to the gym and you're lifting 10 pounds, the next month you're lifting 15 pounds or 15 kg, that's growth. The old you was lifting 10 pounds. You can't go back to that old you. And sometimes what needs to die is our attachment to always being busy, always being productive. And sometimes what needs to die is our belief that our worth is tied to what we do. That our identity is tied to what we produce and our productivity. And sometimes what needs to die is our attachment to control. And for those of you who know me, this might be radical because I was that guy. I believed in productivity, control. But all those things are temporal, and they don't bring peace. The true peace, the real peace, the things that we think that are going to give us that peace, the true peace is internal. And I think that's what Jesus was referring to when he said to enter into the kingdom of God. So as far as the performance goes, let's shift our question. Instead of why didn't I get more done today? Maybe, can I trust God enough to stop fighting where I am and just take the next step? Doing. Let's focus on being. Peace is not found in controlling things. Peace is found in just allowing and cooperating with what already is. And this theme has been resonating with me for a while, and it might sound repetitive because it is. And sometimes repetition is required for us to learn and for it to stick. But today, let's release the need to control every outcome. Let's show up. Stop arguing, stop defending, stop trying to convince reality. Honor where you are without condemning yourself for where you're not. You got up late, honor it. Be better tomorrow. Be better right now. Why did this happen? What went wrong? Those old expectations, allow them to die so the new possibilities can emerge. Growth is found when we allow those possibilities to emerge, when we're not stuck on an old version. Trust the next open door. Trust the process. Trust the one guiding the process, better yet. Trust the one in control of the process. And today, let's take the next step from where we stand right now. What needs to be done next? Who do you need to be next? For your wife, for your husband, for your child, for your brother, for your sister, for your employees, for your employer. Who do you need to be? What can you do? How can you show up in the world today? Because today is all you have. We love to think of tomorrow. We love to make plans. Even I was making plans for the next month. But we don't know. We don't know if we got a year, 10 years, 30 years, 5 weeks left. We can only hope to participate in this life. But what we do know that's guaranteed is right now. So what's in front of you right now? What can you do right now? And my challenge to you guys today, if you guys that are listening, how can you demonstrate your faith today? What's one thing you can do to demonstrate your faith in the future of tomorrow? Is it giving? Is it paying off some debt? Is it making the phone call to someone? Is it visiting someone? But just one thing, one act, one step forward that you can commit to that'll demonstrate that you have faith in the God of the future, in the God of the present, and that you're not attached to who you were yesterday. One small deposit that your future self would thank you for. Just one small act. Commit to it today. Don't beat yourself up over what happened 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago, yesterday, the weekend. Let's look forward.